Last week we discussed how much you should be paying for mastering, and this week I'm going to get into what you can expect and what to look for when hiring a mastering engineer. Stay tuned. I'm going to give you the 5 things I think you should be looking out for when you get mastering done. The first one is good communication. Mastering engineers should be responsive and give you good feedback. If they're poor at communication, they may not have a lot of input and give you some advice that could really help your music. So if you're finding yourself hitting up mastering engineers and not getting a response for days, or if you're just getting really short emails or just a file back, they may not be as professional as you think, or they may just be running your stuff through some preset mastering default plugin, and that might not be what you want. You could do that yourself. So be careful and look out for mastering engineers with good communication. Number 2, you're going to want to find a mastering engineer with a proven track record, one that obviously can fit in your budget. And as I said earlier, I did make a video on how much you can expect to pay for mastering last week, so go ahead and check that out. I'll leave you a link below. But proven track records are important. You want to check out some before and after samples, maybe look at their portfolio. If you look at my website, I have a full portfolio. I have a whole thing with Spotify songs that I've mastered, and I just added a before and after custom music player that you can check out before and after samples that I've personally done. And this is important because it gives you an idea of what can be done to your music. Another thing I always recommend is that you send the mastering engineer references, because it gives a guideline for you and the mastering engineer to understand where you want to go. Number 3, if you're hiring your mastering engineer for the first time, see if they offer free samples. I will go ahead and do first-time clients 1 free stereo mastered sample so you can check out what your music sounds like mastered. This way you could decide if you'd like to work with me or not. There's no obligation if you don't like the master, but I bet you will. So hit the link below and get your first-time client free sample today. Number 4, I think this one is important. Make sure you get along with the person that you're talking to. I think sometimes people get caught up in the whole, oh my gosh, this mastering engineer did this person, and I'm not knocking any mastering engineers, but you should have a relationship with these people because it's your music, it's your art, and the mastering engineer is putting a touch of art and their persona on your music as well. So having a relationship with your mastering engineer, I feel like, is key, because you could bounce ideas, run revisions, maybe check for different loudness levels, see what you like for your music. And if you're just talking to a mastering engineer that doesn't want to talk to you, you're never going to build that kind of relationship. So having a relationship, in my opinion, is super important. Number 5, make sure the master that you get back has no issues. A simple way to do this is take the file and open it in your DAW. Ask yourself, does the waveform look blown up? Did I want it that loud? Does it sound distorted and too crunchy? Is it clipping? Now, some DAWs, it might show that it's clipping, but it might not truly be clipping. And you also might want to put on a meter and see if you could spot any intersample peaks, which could decode improperly when sent to lossy formats, which get converted over at the streaming platforms. So there's a lot of technical jargon that goes into mastering, but just at a quick glance in your DAW can give you some insight. Now, I'm not saying you should always use your eyes. You should always use your ears too. That's very important. Make sure you listen to your master on a few different sources. And make sure that you like your master and make sure there's no issues before you send it to your distributor. So you might be asking, well, what are the issues? There could be things like tonal imbalances, or the levels are too hot and it could be distorted, or the levels are too low, or there could be clipping like I just mentioned before. Now, if you're listening in a colored environment and you don't have an acoustically tuned environment, a good way to check for things is to use tools like a spectrum analyzer or use a reference track. Make sure you level match that reference track, because then you're going to listen to tonal differences. And I speak about this a lot in my YouTube channel, but if you are in a colored environment and you know the reference file sounds good everywhere and you use it as a reference track, it's almost like using it as a guide, because you're listening to the reference with a tonal imbalance. So when you compare it to your song at the same level, you can hear the sonic inconsistencies. And from there, you'll be able to tell if your music is up to par or not. Make sure when you're using reference tracks that you're picking tracks that are of the same genre and style. You don't want to be using a reference track that's, say, a folk song and then comparing it with, say, a house music song. That's not going to be a good reference. So make sure you're trying to pick something in the same vein, something you like, something you know that sounds good, and something that you kind of want to aim and strive to be. It's also a good idea to send that to the mastering engineer before he gets to work, so then he knows and has a roadmap of where you want to go, and he can guide you to let you know if he can get there, or maybe what you need to do in your mix to enhance the mix to get the master to the next stage. And that's an overview on what you should look for when getting your masters done. If you have any questions, shoot me a comment below. Thank you for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, be sure to hit the like button, subscribe to my channel, and the bell notification will keep you up to date. My name is Freddie from Distinct Mastering, and have a great day.